Hey there, neighbors and naysayers. January 4th, 2023. Happy New Year, everybody. Haven't had a chance to do many videos because we've been moving cows in the dark, pretty much. Just a symptom of very short days, and that's when I can get there, so it's kind of hard to take a video. There are some black cows up there, but I can't get them to smile, so if they don't smile, you can't see them, you don't know they're there. So we just finished putting hay out for the sheep, and I get asked this question all the time: how do you do it? And I can't take the video and put bales out and watch two boys at the same time. So what we do, Dad brings bales over, and you can see a piece of it here, you can see a really good piece of it there. Cut the net wrap off, pull the net wrap off, and then I skin the outside of the bale. This one here skinned with the net wrap because it was froze. But we roll the outside skin off because they're outside stored bales. That's junk anyway. The sheep really aren't going to eat it. The cows will mess through it and they'll get most of it. Sheep, on the other hand, just don't. They don't like to do it, and they don't like to get into it because of the way we feed bales. So we've searched high and low for decent sheep feeders, something we could feed sheep with, and all of them had an issue. All of them weren't quite right. So what we've come up with is we just I typically go through one of these cattle panels a year, feeding with two, and then I tie them up, usually with string, but because we've moved to all net wrap bales, bale and twine comes a little harder these days. And I just tie them loose like that so that they'll go around. And part of the reason we skin the outside skin off too is so that that'll fit. It's a 4x5 bale and 16-foot panel in diameter. Won't quite fit around that bale, so we skin the outside of the bale off, put the cattle panel down over it, and then the sheep can eat in it. We don't we haven't found any other better feeder, but we don't get anything hung up in it. The ram is probably the biggest head we have out here, and he doesn't get hung up in it. When we had goats, the darn buck goat would get his head stuck in every once in a while. If you weren't careful, he was dumb, and he would stand on the bottom 2 or 3 rungs and go up higher and get his head in, and then he couldn't get his head back out. So he had to watch he didn't hang himself. But I've never had one hang up in it. I had one get its foot caught here early this fall and winter, but no harm done. She dragged the panel across the field about 10-15 feet, but other than that, we moved right off and everything was good. These sheep are all around this bale just because this is the first one we put down. They haven't figured out the other ones there yet, but we try to roll all that yuck off the outside so that they don't have to worry about it, and then it just becomes bedding out here on the pasture. It'll grow up with fescue here this summer and we won't have any issue. This is the best bad option we have. You can see we make tracks coming in and out of here. I'd like to figure out how to bale graze with these guys, but this is the best that we can do. As we get bale grazing figured out, we're probably going to move more toward a bale grazing system with the sheep. Now they all found that other ring. They're all going to run up there, but this works. And then the other part of this is we rotate this. They're only on here for a winter, and then we move them on to another spot. We tried wintering in the same place because we got a field that's just woven wire. We tried wintering there for a couple years, and about the 3rd year we really started getting worm issues in sheep that previously had no worm issues. So we just had to move on and go to a different place. And in this way too, even if we're late getting here with hay, there's still some stockpile grass out there. They'll go and they'll pick at the grass, and then they got something to eat even when they run out. When we graze the same field over and over and over again, by January, February, there was nothing left. It was just a carpet. So this field needs some fertility. It'll be fine. I'd really rather move these rings a little more than what we do. We just kind of move it outside the ring every time, just keep moving it across. But it's also hard to do with sheep because you kind of want this pack of hay for them to be on. Sheep hate mud. They won't fight through mud. They won't eat hay through mud. So having this kind of heavy use pad built out of hay is what we shoot for. And in spring it all breaks down and it's okay. We tried the pad, it doesn't work because it doesn't build up enough of a dry space for them. Then the other thing I get asked too is wind protection. You know, what do we do? You can see we're pretty wide open. That's west. There's some trees there. There's some trees up there. They can get into there, but they always have these bales they can kind of get behind. But the sheep, they got thick hair. They really don't, the wind doesn't bother them. Rainy, cold bothers them. And if it gets real cold, then we worry. But really, if it gets real cold, it's snow. And so it's not that big of an issue then either. So really, really stiff wind and rain is the only killer. We try to move them somewhere where they got shade or shelter if we get to that. And we can move them to the pad where they do have shelter if we get those days. We just don't. And then how do we water? There's just beyond that locust tree, there's a tub. I just hook it up to the hydrant every day, let it fill, and then that's enough water to get 24 hours to come back and do it again. Only two days so far I've had to carry water. Every other time the hose is thawed when I get here. So just thought I'd give a little quick rundown of how we feed hay to the sheep in the winter. Like I said, this is the best bad option. Our better option is the stockpile grass. Really, as we look over hay tests, it's almost impossible to bale sheep quality hay. It's got to be second crop, and this is not to get good quality sheep hay. But the other thing is the sheep pick around and pick through so much of this. I feel they're getting their quality out of it. Yeah, the hay test says that it's not good enough, but what they pick out of it is probably good enough. The ewes come through really well. The lambs sometimes they grow, but they don't grow great. And then come spring, when it gets warm, they take off again. So with that, I'll say we'll see you next time.